everybody to this session, this masterclass in April 2023 on how to maximize your online profile as a speaker. In this particular masterclass, we're going to be, we have the very fortunate opportunity to talk to two people, part of the team behind eSpeakers. Now, we'll talk all about what eSpeakers is, and I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, will have heard of it. But just to give you an introduction of the two people we have here today, we've got the wonderful Amber Shelley. She's a speaker sales manager and speaker coach at eSpeakers. As a sales manager at eSpeakers, Amber enables speakers, trainers, entertainers, authors, and consultants to change lives. She leads the speaker team there at eSpeakers, the sales team, helping speakers to maximize their experience with eSpeakers by ensuring that they're marketable to event organizers. Her people skills have motivated and inspired eSpeaker sales for over a decade. In her spare time, Amber loves to hike, bike, run, and ride horses and boats in the mountains and canyonlands of Utah. An avid book reader, Amber is also chef de cuisine, from legendary soups to her famous chocolate chip cookies. Amber, you made me hungry just reading out your bio. So I'm going to have to try to avoid cookies and the thought of cookies for the next hour, or it'll be a long, long hour. Joe Heaps is the CMO at eSpeakers. As a marketing partner and chief marketing officer at eSpeakers, Joe's focused on driving the company's vision of helping organizations and individuals improve in substantial long-term ways. His greatest strength are his creativity, drive, leadership, and ability to relate to people. Thrives on challenges, particularly those that expand the company's reach. His strategic vision and leadership has propelled eSpeakers forward as the leading software provider in the industry. And when he's not in the office, Joe can be found in Utah's country mountain biking, snowmobiling, or out on the lake with his family. I love it, and I love the amount of adventure both of you pursue. Just to start off with, thank you very much for being here. We really appreciate it here at the National Speakers Association New York City chapter. Would love to understand, first of all, could you both give us a rundown of what is eSpeakers and why was it created in the first place? Like, what's the primary function of eSpeakers, just to start with?
Ooh, Amber, I'll let you start.
Well, eSpeakers was created originally by a speaker who had an idea to help speakers become better organized 24 years ago, back in 1999. His name was Art Berg, and he got with one of our owners, Dave Reed, and then they brought on Joe Heaps, and we've just evolved over the years, creating an event management tool that helps, like I said, help speakers stay organized. We've created marketing tools to help you market yourself as a speaker. And lastly, a directory to sell speakers to the buyers that are looking for speakers for the events. And not only do we have our own directory, but we power directories like NSA chapters and bureaus and agencies. Do you have anything to add to that, Joe?
The only thing I would add is you may have heard the name Art Berg or not. If you've gone to Influence, there's the Art Berg Foundation. He was an influential guy and ended up passing away right before. He was president-elect of NSA, actually. And he was a real technology buff and had this vision of being able, and this is 1999, had this vision of connecting people, what we call in the cloud now, right? And so he was thinking in the cloud then, and gave bureaus and agencies the ability to go back into his calendar on the back door and see his schedule and be able to put a hold on it without having to talk to him on the brick phones that, and so at the time it was, so innovative. And over the years, that same technology, the event management tool that we use, has powered, thousands of speaker schedules. It's what, if in the NSA, if you're working towards a CSP, it's what our tool actually puts together the CSP report. If you track all your events in our tool, Event CX, then you can just hit a button and it'll spit out your CSP report. In fact, you can actually do that at any time in the process, even if you're brand new or emerging. You can run a report and see how close you are to your CSP. So all of that's included in our system. But over the years, we started with kind of more management and how to organize and run your office. And as we've come to 2023, we're much more focused on digital marketing, realizing that so much of your new leads, and your exposure comes from social media, your website, and other people's websites, right? And so we're trying to help you market yourself better online. And so one of those ways Amber talked about was through our directory, and which you all have a profile on, or profile. And if you don't, we can show you how to do that. And you know, we, like Amber said, those profiles can go out onto the chapter websites, onto the national NSA site, and any of the speakers bureaus or agencies. We have about 80 directories we power on the web. So it could be picked up by MPI, for example, or Smart Meetings, or Success Magazine, or some of the industry types. Even ourselves, we have our own directory, eSpeakers Marketplace, and we've just created and spun out a new directory, which is acting more as a speakers bureau, called Blackwood Talent and Entertainment Speakers Bureau, which is both of our own directories. And so we're really focused on that digital marketing side of things and ways to help. We've got some really fun things coming out this year that will help you better market yourself online and digitally. And so we're excited about that, but that's definitely the trend of where we're headed.
Sure.
As opposed to where we started.
So just in terms of that, and by the way, just on the CSP part, there's something that makes me happy and something that makes me very, very sad about that. First of all, I did my CSP stuff a couple of years ago, and I didn't use eSpeakers, and it was such a difficult process. It was so laborious and labor intensive, and it took so much time to crawl through and find 250 different presentations over the years and make sure that, you know, they're all organized. So that's what makes me sad. What makes me happy is that anyone in the future, everyone listening to this call, will have the chance when you're applying, if you decide to go for a certified speaking professional designation. There's a bunch of requirements, but if you have it all organized, as Joe mentioned, in eSpeakers, I think that's a great advantage. I also just want to ask a quick question on, obviously you said you started off with Art Berg and some of the approaches he had, which were very innovative about helping clients to be able to directly access the calendar. And you're moving more now into a more marketing side of things, getting the word out to various people by establishing and positioning people on directories. What are, you know, if you were to say the happiest customers that you have in terms of eSpeakers, what are some of the words they use to describe it? As in, what are the problems, the core problems that you're solving currently the most for speakers that work with your system? What are the kind of things that people describe as, that's why I love eSpeakers? What are those specific things? And I want to get more into the positioning pieces.
Amber, I'll let you start again.
Well, we're increasing your online exposure, I would say, would be the number one thing, you know, just by the different platforms that are able to subscribe to your profile once you have an eSpeakers profile. You know, just stay organized with the event management tool that we have. And then also we have a lead center that we offer, you know, some leads that maybe you can possibly apply to, and some marketing by doing email blasts.
Great. Anything to add to
As
that?
As far as what I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to go the route of what people are saying. If you're not familiar with the name Crystal Washington, she's on the board at NSA, an amazing speaker and a longtime customer of eSpeakers. And she always explains it as this. She said, my whole system, everything I do, is the core of it is eSpeakers, and everything revolves around that. I literally could not exist without using eSpeakers as that core. And so, you know, explaining, we can get more into depth on this, but, you know, at the core of our event management tool is what's called an action list, which keeps things going for you. So it could, you know, it reminds you to do things before, during, or after the event. And when you're a really busy booked speaker, you know, the chance of dropping things and let him, you know, you can't keep all the balls in the air, so to speak, and your staff as well, if you have people helping you. So this is a great way to, you set all those action items up first, and Crystal's a pro at that. And I don't think, if you wanted to email her or call her and say, hey, what do you really think of all this? This is what she would tell you. But you set these action items up, and then every single event you create, those action items are set, so you don't have to redo it. And so it just keeps reminding you before or after to send this or set this up or call this person or whatever it is. And so it saves you a bunch of time. So that's probably the first thing, is the system. Okay. It's a system that helps you. It's a successful speaking system. I mean, there's nothing, literally, you guys, there's nothing out there that has been, well, NSA has been out there longer, but there's nothing out there in the speaking industry that has, that's specific for speakers. That's a system that helps you. We integrate with CRMs, there's so much you can do, but I would say probably the biggest thing is that we're a system, and once you plug into it, and you have to be fully invested. You can't dip your toe in and say, "Oh, I'm using this other tool and doing these different things to get the maximum benefit." I mean, you can, but you're not just going to get the maximum benefit out of it.
So that's very helpful. Now, Crystal is actually the main reason why I signed up myself to eSpeakers, because anything Crystal sort of says, I'm a huge fan of. She's the first speaker actually that I saw when I went along to a NSA NYC chapter. And in fact, a year ago we had her on this. She did a masterclass for us about systems, and that's where eSpeakers came up when she mentioned that. What I do want to do, and I would like to, I suppose, go a little bit differently to we normally go. Normally it's just a Q&A style. I'd love to see if you can show us in a little bit more about what eSpeakers looks like, and maybe show us examples of what you were just talking about there. Before we get into that though, I would love just to get an idea from both of your experiences outside of eSpeakers and leveraging some of the knowledge you've gained from the work you've done in eSpeakers. What are some of the most important things that you see speakers really need to do in marketing themselves effectively online? So in presenting your profile online, whether it's eSpeakers or even in your website or whatnot, what are some tips or strategies or recommendations you've seen from the very best out there? Because you've a collection of some incredible speakers on the platform. What are the things you've seen that really work well, and what do you think is most important for people to do?
I think, excuse me, I think having a really good photo, that's the very first thing that people see, a photo from the shoulders up, and that's professional looking. And then the next thing, we call it the audience benefit statement. This is your hook line. And you really need to think about, instead of accolades and things like that, what is your benefit to an audience? What is the audience going to gain by hearing you speak? So creating this audience benefit statement will help differentiate you from other speakers when a buyer is looking on our directory. And then continue that in your bio. Make sure that your programs show the benefit and what to expect by hiring you. So that would be my main thing, having video on your profile. That's the first looked at item on our site, on our directory, all those directories. Meeting planners do want to see you in action before they buy and purchase. And so that's a very important thing. Recommendations, having testimonials of what people have said about you. That's highly effective on your profile as well.
Great.
Joe?
I would also, I mean, the things Amber talked about are important, and things I would have said as well, but I'm going to say two other things. One is, first of all, I think the biggest miss that speakers make is in their messaging. It truly, everybody has kind of a good idea, and Amber brought it up. It's the audience benefit statement. And if you really work that, the audience benefit statement talks about, when you come speak to this group, what are the benefits of them hiring you? What are you going to provide? And it's where the big miss comes from is speakers tend, and this isn't a knock against speakers because we all do it. I even do it, and I have a degree in marketing, right? And that is that we tend to initially talk about, in marketing, you talk about, if you have a product, you talk about we tend to lead with features rather than the benefits of the product. Oh, it does this and it's shiny and it's new and it's invented in 2023. It doesn't really talk about the benefits of it. So that's one of the biggest misses, in my opinion, with speakers, is they start talking about, I wrote this book, I have this degree, I spoke to these many people. All of that's good and deserved in your bio. It needs to be in there. but really that audience benefit statement is you're an expert at this, and this is what the audience is going to gain from you being hired. And it's so surprising that, and you're right, we've been around for a long time and have speakers in our system, and there are speakers that have a lot of traction in the industry, and for whatever reason they have it, but that's not the same. This doesn't happen to everybody the same way. I guess it's hard work to get exposure and to get that message out and to get new leads. And so I'm surprised that some of these really seasoned speakers don't have really good messaging, but they have a lot of traction. And I can't explain that, right? I've been asked about that before, but I think you've got to just think, hey, it's 2023 and I've got to have the very best messaging out there. And so that messaging, yeah, of course, on your e-speakers profile, your audience benefit statement, which is right up at the top near your photo, and then your bio, the first paragraph of your bio is kind of, it's a segue paragraph between all these benefits that you're going to provide and all the things about you. So that first paragraph is the segue paragraph. It segues the benefits to all the features or the facts about you. And then below that is all of that information about you and that supports you being this amazing speaker. You spoke to these people, you wrote these books or whatever. And so that's one of the main things I think that people need to, and if you want, go to eSpeakers Marketplace. It's espeakers.com/marketplace. Do a search your topics, search the people that are coming up high. And the people that are coming up in the top of the search results they have high SEO, eSpeakers SEO, and you get eSpeakers SEO by putting more content on your profile. And so the more content on your profile, the higher you rank in the search results, because we want to provide the buyers a really rich, robust experience in searching for speakers or experts in this topic. So that's kind of how that works. But the point is that go look at those and you'll see some good ones, and you might see some that are not really as targeted as they should be. But that's probably the biggest thing.
Sure. That's great stuff, Joe. Just in response to, and again, thank you, Amber and Joe, for this. This is really helpful. In response to what you said, I think from my perspective, when I see speakers that are very successful, that don't necessarily focus on the benefits, like you said, that are still focused on the features, I think a large part is because they've used other tools to be able to be successful. So they have the right relationship. They've cultivated great networks. They've been at the right events. And as a result of that, they've established themselves effectively in, not in terms of online marketing per se, but in the everyday life that they've put themselves across. I've one other question just around that, and that is, sometimes it's not even just features and benefits. Sometimes I see that us as speakers, and I've fallen into this trap myself, can focus so much on our approach. So, this is what I specialize in. I'm in this field, whether that's I'm a certain type of coach, or I'm a specialist in this, or I'm a, certified story brand, or I'm, NLP certified, or whatever it is. And we focus so much on that, as opposed to, again, like you were mentioning, putting it onto, well, why does that matter for your audience? And ultimately, it doesn't matter what your qualifications or what your approach is. What matters is what do you help the audience get? Would that be fair to say? And is that also something you've seen or no?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I mean, the truth is that if you're Captain Soul and you land a plane on the Hudson, you probably don't need features and benefits. People know you. They want to hear their story. They want to hear how you went through it and what happened and how you became a hero, right? And so, or if you cut off your arm, or if you, whatever the experience is, okay, you're a Paralympian athlete. I mean, some of those are just straight up inspiring, right? And so you have a story built in, and the messaging is built in. You don't have to do a lot of work, but the majority of the speaking industry are just regular experts that are an expert, like you were just saying, all the list of the things that you just said. And you're trying to get exposure, you're trying to get known, and you're trying to separate yourself from the competition. And there might even be some on the call here that speak on the same thing, right? And you're saying, I want to be different than them. And so we work towards doing that. But I think the clearest thing you can do, in my opinion, is really focus on not worrying about everybody else, but worry about yourself, and just make sure that your messaging is in line with what your approach is, what you're trying to teach and share. And we see that not only your profile, So you can take that messaging on your eSpeakers profile, and our system is set up to kind of help you dissect that. It's almost like a, it's not AI.
Template?
Sorry. It's what?
A template?
Yeah, it's kind of a template or a process that you go through, but it helps you naturally set your profile up. And so once you do that, we highly recommend that you take that same process and take it over on your own personal website, your social media, and make sure you're leading with the right things, right? Because we've, through all these years of working with the buyers, the meeting planners, we find that they have a solution, an outcome that they're looking for. And so they're looking at, I want to have this outcome for my meeting. And my whole objective in finding a speaker is to find somebody that can help me achieve this outcome. So when you lead with the benefits and you say, hey, I can, everybody's going to leave, better educated. They can do these 3 things. They're going to go back as better managers and lead their teams, or whatever it is, the things your benefits you lead with. The buyer looks at that and says, oh, that solves my solution. Boom, I'm easy hire, right? And so that's really where you're connecting the dots, just understanding a little bit more about how that message, every single word matters, every single word. And so tie that together with your website, your social media, their eSpeakers profile, anywhere else you're listed. And then just one little add-on to this is on your eSpeakers profile, you have a section called programs. No matter what level of account you have with us, you have programs, and the programs are your speeches, right? And so we've even seen people say, okay, I have my program, I have all my messaging straight. And then you go over to their programs and it's like, whoa, like, what is this? You can't even understand it. And so again, take that messaging format and lead with benefits and tell them, like, when and we have a little template wizard that will take you through this, that helps you. But when you set up those programs, go through that benefit driven wizard and talk about who this is good for, what they're going to benefit, what the benefit of listening to you for that speech, rather than just giving you like the patent paragraph that you give the meeting planner when you get hired, right? And so anyway, that's I'll leave it there and let you go from there.
Are there core differences between promoting like the sort of stuff that you would put on your website versus eSpeakers, for example? Because if a person's checking out my website, at that moment they're 100% focused on me. When they go to my eSpeaker profile, they might be reading my profile, but then they might go to other speakers. So it's in many ways, it's like, the difference between visiting someone's website and going to a store where you're looking at all of the different options. So are there certain things we need to be doing on eSpeakers that aren't as important on your website or vice versa?
No, I mean, everything on your website is important, and you usually go into a lot more depth of the things that you offer and things like that. Mm-hmm. But no, the whole purpose of your website is to sell somebody, right? And that's the whole purpose of your eSpeakers profile. We've tried to make it so that you have different little like sub tabs, but you don't leave the page, because what in technology, what we found is less clicks obviously get you hired. So if they have to click more, they get lost and they skip to somebody else. And so we have tried to make your eSpeakers profile as robust as possible. You have everything there that they would need to make a hiring decision, right? And so the more you can pack it full of all this good information, video's the number one sales tool. So you got to have video. And number 2 is testimonials or recommendations. And so, if you have those, you're off to a really good start. And then from there, really it comes down to your programs. And if your program hits the outcome of what the meeting needs, right? And we do have buyers that come to us and say, hey, I'm looking for somebody in leadership. You're like, well, what's your meeting outcome? What's your goal? Well, we just want somebody on leadership. We don't really have that. So there are those, but most people come with an outcome. They have some desired outcome that they want. And one additional little trick on this is, so we've talked about creating a bio and an audience benefit statement and the programs, and you can do that in all of your topics, your expert topics. So Owen, I don't know about, what your topics are, but let's just say it's leadership and diversity and business and marketing, right? And so you can create a different profile, a different bio and audience benefit statement and and your programs, all in the surrounding those different topics. Okay, so when somebody searches on sales, for example, your sales audience benefit statement comes up in your sales bio. When somebody searches on leadership, it's your leadership one. You can specify that, and then you have a general one when they're just doing a general search.
Oh, interesting.
The cherry on the top of that is that you can also, if you speak multiple languages, you can create all of those, a general one, and all of the 6 topics that you have, and you can create them in every single language you speak. So get this, if you have somebody that's looking for a leadership speaker in Spanish that speaks the Spanish language, they put that in, and the leadership, your leadership bio comes up. It's in Spanish because you speak Spanish, right? I mean, we're trying to really self-serve these buyers as they come in. So those are some of the things that just get lost in e-speakers. So,
and I love that. I love that because, again, I think the more we know about what it can do, the better. Before we get to, just if you wouldn't mind sharing a demo, I just want to go through some of the comments because I think there's some great stuff here. Thanks, Amber, for posting the links as well. Casey says, Crystal Washington, she did a recent in-service program for us, and she showed how she uses e-speakers to support her in our back end. Casey, I saw that once myself. Crystal do that. I can't even remember where it was, but I remember just being blown away by it. So thank you very much for sharing that. Crystal has built her business around the systems and hires people to manage the systems. Absolutely, Casey. Kate says, in case it's helpful, as an example, Kate has 4 main action lists set up, 2 for direct bookings and 2 for bureau bookings, 2 of those for physical in-person events, 2 for virtual events. There's also a few extra lists like bulk book buying, etc., which I love. Lenny says, please clarify when discussing assets, for example, video, to include in e-speakers, which are only for the paid version. I'll get to that in a moment, actually, because it is something that I want to ask you about. And the link is being dropped by Kate. Have the statement answer the so what test. That's a great point. So in terms of the benefits, right? So what about that particular feature? So I do this, I do this, I do this. So what does that mean? So I love that. And then Sarah had to hop. Michelle, is e-speakers a benefit of NSA membership, or is this a separate membership? Confused. We'll answer that question. Oh, Amber did answer the question. It's a benefit of being an NSA member, and every member is able to have a complimentary basic profile for e-speakers. And there's a URL that Amber's provided. Could we just, before we get into the demo, could you just answer the question there about, so what is included in the free for members e-speakers membership? And then what is a paid on top piece? And if you can also include the video question.
Can I share the screen really quick? Because I think
can
that would,
indeed. Please share away.
Okay. All right. Let me just show you this really quickly. So can you all see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you can see this is our pro membership, our plus membership, and our basic membership. This is the membership that all of you have. So you can see that you're able to utilize the calendar. You get 20 points. We're actually looking, to be at 100% on a profile. And then programs, you receive 10, your fee is 10, and tagging your programs that you speak virtually is also 5 points. So every member that is at basic profile is allowed 45 points. When you do upgrade to our plus or our pro accounts, you're able to add the recommendations, multimedia, and video to your profile. So that's how the algorithm works on our system to rank you on our directory, and so that you can raise high when someone's, your score is high and that you are searchable.
So just so I understand this, so you can, with the membership already included, you can have a calendar, both the updated calendar and the upcoming events calendar. You can have programs, you can have the fee, and you can have virtual programs that you might be doing as well. And obviously the bio and whatnot. But the things that you might need to pay for would be if you're adding testimonials or recommendations, if you're adding photos, articles, books, etc., or if you're adding video. Would that be correct?
That would be correct. There's one little way around that. We offer a CVP, certified virtual presenter, and you're able to, at the basic level, receive the CVP and have one video on your profile. So even at that basic level, you can have at least one profile.
And
I
is
mean,
that
one video, excuse me.
is that a virtual video only that you can have?
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
I get you.
I mean, the big Amber's sharing that the ESEO
Sorry.
score chart. No, that's all right. But Amber, if you wouldn't mind bringing the pricing page up, that would be
Okay.
helpful. Because Michelle had a question about that. But you know, we have 3 different memberships levels. The one that comes with all NSA members is the basic one. It's a basic profile and a basic calendar. On the profile, you have a photo. You'll have a photo. You have your topics, your bio, your and your programs. Okay, and so it's a good way to get you out and get you started. But when Amber was showing the SEO chart, you can see that when somebody searches, it comes up, you know, the most you can get is 45 points. So in not all directories are like that. Like the national directory of NSA, everything's alphabetical. So the ESEO score doesn't take any, it's not even a factor. But on many other directories like our own, eSpeakers Marketplace, some of the bureau directories and the industry directories, they're all run with eSpeakers SEO. And so the higher the SEO you have, the higher the score. And when everybody has the same score, like 100, we just keep rotating every search, we just scramble that, and you could be at the top or the bottom of that 100 percenters. And so, so you get the basic one for free, and then Plus and Pro are the next 2 levels. And the reason there's a separation there is that the Plus is just the upgraded profile, and the Pro is the upgraded profile and the upgraded calendar. And so that's really the difference. If you're looking for more online marketing exposure, and you already have a calendar and a system like Crystal talked about, that you don't need our Pro tool, then Plus is a good step for you. If you wanted a system and you want to have an upgraded calendar and profile, then Pro is obviously the way to go for you. And that's where most people, most of, you know, the longtime speakers or new speakers that use us are at the Pro level, just because they have all the tools.
Could you go into a bit more depth, guys, about the Pro level? Because I'm still not 100% clear. I know you said it's an updated calendar, but what does that look like? What does it allow us to do that's different to the Plus level, which I totally understand the Plus level, because it's basically what you showed us, Amber, in terms of it allows us to put on video, it allows us to put on PDFs, it allows us to do all that stuff. So what again does Pro do?
Well, you can kind of see what Amber's sharing here is the Pro gives you all the functionality, where Plus just gives you partial. So for instance, to customize the action lists in the calendar, you can't customize them in anything other than the Pro. We have action lists there. I believe it was Kate that says she has a bunch of different action lists set up. And I mean, it's just that itself is worth it in a lot of speakers, you know, decision making. It's like, it just keeps me going. As far as the marketing goes, you know, the Plus and Pro are the exact same. You have a couple little things like unlimited access to things and some upgraded things, but they're essentially exactly the same. So really what the difference is with Pro is that you have all the functionality of our calendar event management tool. So
And CSP.
yeah, and the CSP, you can run the CSP report with the Pro.
And what are some of the underrated or undervalued, the things that you've heard your members tend to use a lot, but most people, you know, it's not promoted, right? So it's not usually used in terms of advertising. Is there any sort of hidden gems, like you explained a little bit earlier on when we were talking about, you know, some of the ways in which you've different profiles for different talks and different speeches? You know, that's something I never had the clue of, but yet it could be immensely valuable. Is there anything else like that out of all of these different words, these features, whatnot? What are some of the hidden gems in this that you would say, you know, this is something that's underrated that actually is very, very helpful?
Oh, Amber, I'll let you go. You go first.
Well, I think a lot of people, and we've talked about action lists, but they just don't realize how valuable it is. And it's based on the event date, and you create, so say you're going to always send a contract out 30 days before the event happens. So this just gives you a tickler email reminder that that task is due that day, or you're going to book your travel 15 days before the event happens. You're going to send a thank you note after, 5 days after the event is over. Maybe 6 months later, you're going to contact that event organizer, and it's going to give you a reminder for that. So action list is just huge in our system, helping you not forget any task that's to be done. Some of the other things with our event management tool, let me just go there. This is what it looks like. But if we pick an event, let me just see if I can find an event. This is what we're talking about, the action list reminder. So you can see you create this list of everything you need to do for your event by customizing this master list. You actually figure out when you want these tasks done and who in your office you want to do that. The other nice things are that you keep track. Okay, at this event, I gave this presentation. This is what I wore at that event. These are the stories and jokes that I told at that event. So if you ever have a recurring event that you do annually, you're going to remember exactly what you did for that event. The services tab is keeping track of the monies for that event. Okay, this is the deposit when it was made. This is how many products I sold at that event. So very many things. And we also have many reports. So you can generate your income by bureau or just your annual income of what you've made. We try to make everything really easy for you as a speaker.
So this is great. So how do you, let's say, for example, someone decides to sign up for the Plus or the Pro. What's the process like in terms of helping people onboard and get to use this? Because there's one thing, as we all know, there's one thing buying it, there's another thing actually using it. And one of the impediments, I think, a lot of times it's when there's so many things you can do, it's very quick for us to go, "Oh, I'll deal with it later." So what is the process if someone decides to go together? How can they get up to date and figure out best practice ways to immediately integrate it and basically onboard themselves in the system?
That's what I do. That's my main thing, is I help speakers make their profiles attractive to those buyers looking. I can train you on the Event CX tool, help you with our with our marketing tools. And so we offer that for that training for you.
So
the process is you get as you sign up, and you'll get several sign up emails with some instructions of how to get started. But we have, Amber, do you by chance have or can you bring up our support page with all the videos? You get access to all of the videos that we have to get you started. Different ways to take advantage of how to set up your profile and how to put your first event in the calendar. And they're all just here. They're short. You can pause them, do the work, then continue on. There's a whole bunch of them, right? So that's one thing that you can do to kind of educate yourself on how to use e-speakers. The other thing that we offer is Amber is our resident expert on all things speakers. And so she does one-on-ones with speakers and helps them maximize their e-speakers experience. So you guys are lucky to have her on here, and you could just maybe, Amber, you can put your email address in the chat, and anybody who has questions can reach out to Amber, set up a one-on-one and say, hey, I want to really dive into this and figure this out. But that's one of the things that we offer as part of a paid membership, is you get access to Amber and so forth. I was just going to mention, when you were talking about most underutilized things in e-speakers, I think and I agree with Amber on the action list, but I also think that one of the things that gets underutilized is what we refer to as an availability calendar. And this applies to everybody, no matter what level you're on. You have access to put your dates in the calendar. And Amber, if you'll go over to Marketplace and just do a search on a date, for example, on, I don't know, just pick a topic, doesn't really matter.
Let me find which tab I'm at. We'll just do accountability.
Yeah, accountability is great. And whoever. And the availability calendar, what it does is it shows people based on their availability, obviously. So this is the reason you want to keep your calendar in eSpeakers, so that as buyers come and look for my events on the 16th of May, and I need somebody to come and speak to me about addiction. So it gives us 76 people that speak on addiction. And you notice the top 2 there have their calendars. They use our system and they're putting their dates in the calendar. So as a buyer, I can now, I mean, it's just like when you're buying anything else online, when you see that there's no items left in stock or whatever, you're like, oh, dang, I'm going to go somewhere else. I don't want to sit, and I don't know when it's going to become available. So the same thing happens with these buyers. They look at this and say, well, these 2 people all of a sudden have a step ahead, in my opinion, because I know they're available. And so I'll go to them first. If I go to the others, it says message for availability. That means I have to wait, send an email, wait for the email to come back. Are you available on this date? And blah, blah, blah. And it's just more steps. And so again, we found that we've captured them here. And if you can put all that information on your profile, you have a higher chance of getting booked, because they're not going other places. They're going there. You can sell you right on your page. So just even the basic, plus, or pro, doesn't matter. You put your dates in the calendar where you're speaking. They can be virtual. They can be in your own city. They can be anywhere. In fact, some people even will put, let's just say Lauren there, maybe she is attending a friend's wedding, right? Or something. And she could put that in her calendar, and it would show her in Chicago during that time. And so, Amber, if you scroll up just a little bit, up to the top, sorry. Yeah, and just put in Chicago, for example. I don't know what this is going to, in the location. I don't know what this is going to bring up. It's bad. I should have tested it before I checked it out, but search on that. So there's 0. So maybe pick a different topic of not addiction, maybe just something bigger. I don't know. Yeah, leadership. So this will show you that these people live that close to Chicago and they're available, right? And they can speak on leadership. So the idea of, and that means that they are either in that town, right? And most of these are, because you can see under their name, it says they're from Illinois. But you could also be traveling. Let's say Kate here on our call is traveling through Chicago on another event. It could be another speaking event. It could be a wedding. It could be vacation, whatever. And somebody sees that she's in Chicago and that she is available that day. And she might say, hey, I'm going to leave my calendar wide open. And if somebody wants to book me, I'm happy to go do that. And so anyway, it gives you some ways to piggyback, for somebody to piggyback on you already being in that city. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's very helpful. Just a couple of other things, and then I'll open it up to more questions. First of all, just to clarify, as Amber clarified, the photo is included in all packages. Thanks very much, Michelle, for the question. Kate, it can even remind you to do things like send a text to the on-site contact person when you arrive, with the event organizers love, for sure. Question from Diane, and also I want to ask a specific version of that question. First of all, can it integrate with a CRM? And second of all, I know that there is some sort of linkage with speaker flow. Could you talk to about integrating with a CRM and also integrating with speaker flow?
Yeah, Amber,
Joe,
do you want to
talk about speaker flow?
Yeah, bring this event 6 calendar back up.
Okay.
If you don't mind. Yeah, we integrate with several. If you go up to under the name, yeah, there you go. So this shows you the different CRMs that we integrate with. And so we, quite a while ago, made the decision to not include a CRM in our system, because the other CRMs are so robust and so awesome that it didn't make a lot of sense for us to do that. But what we do is integrate with them. So in the contacts tab, you can grab contacts once you link your account from the other, from just pick one of them, and let's just search for a name there, Amber. And so what it does is we're going to grab a contact. So go ahead and click grab. And I'm not sure it will show you the screen. There we go. So all you have to do is just type the name in, whoever it is, and and hit enter. And if that person's in there, it'll come up and you just click add, and it'll add them right to the event. So you don't have to recreate it. You're just pull that data from the CRM into Event CX. The interaction that we have with speaker flow is quite a bit deeper. When you're in speaker flow, we've actually built in our event management system inside of speaker flow. So you can be in speaker flow, or you can be in Event CX, our tool, and the contact flows back and forth and the event information flows back and forth. So no matter what window you're in, you'll be able to see both information, right? So, and the thing is when you're in speaker flow and you say, hey, I need to edit that event, you click the link, it just opens a new tab with eSpeakers, or if you have it open, it just goes to that event in your eSpeakers Event CX. So we're integrated with them. It's a really deep integration. We like the guys at Speakerflow. They do a great job. Their system is probably the most honed in contact CRM system for speakers. Of course, it's not the only system out there, and there's other tools that do great things and are used for other things, for email marketing and things like that. But Speakerflow does a really great job for speakers specifically, if you're looking for, some speaker specific functionality, which is great.
That's really helpful. Quick question from, first of all, from Ariana. What if one is, in terms of the availability piece, if someone is available to speak in Chicago but isn't located there, what should they do to make sure that people can see them quite easily?
Yeah, I mean, this search for the buyer, for the meeting planners, it's all based on the location. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if you're not going to be in Chicago and don't live in Chicago, you won't show up in this search.
Sure.
Which is just just part of the way the system works, right? And so the way you'll show up in the searches, if you're traveling through or you live there or whatever. Now we get a question a bunch. Let's just say you live in some random smaller city way out away from Chicago, right? And instead of, or maybe it's somewhere that you could drive to, you'd be willing to go to, and you don't want to be known that you're from Podunk, Illinois, right? So a lot of people will change that. Now you guys probably all put New York City or something in yours, but say that you're from New York City, and then you'll be in those main searches of that bigger city, because nobody's going to search Podunk, Illinois, right? But they will search Chicago. And so that's just an idea.
Great. Two more things. Well, first of all, briefly, just in terms of SpeakerFlow. So SpeakerFlow is a CRM primarily that is specially designed, Kathy, for speakers. And so it's created by Taylor Payne. We actually have a full masterclass that we did last year that's in the vault. So you'll be able to watch that. And I interview Taylor, and he talks through everything you need to know about SpeakerFlow and you wanted to ask. So that should give you a really deep understanding of SpeakerFlow. It's basically a CRM that is very much specified in speakers and lots of features in there. So you'll be able to check that out, Kathy. Hope that explains it. Would love to see an example of somebody that you have that is really nailing it in terms of their e-speakers profile. Have you got an example of that, Amber, that you could show us in terms of someone that you say?
Who would you say, Joe? Would you?
Well, let's bring up Kate. We featured her this week. So Let's see what she has on the fly.
Okay. No pressure.
No pressure.
No judgment. No judgment.
Oh, if I can spell.
Okay, it's right down there, yes. So we'll take that out in Chicago. Okay. Doesn't want to go back.
It doesn't, no.
So we'll put her on the hot seat here.
Yeah, and if you can explain why she looks as good as she does. Obviously, we know why she looks as good as she does, but I mean, on e-speakers, from a profile point of view, what makes Kate's profile particularly impressive, and what has she done that makes her stand out?
I mean, we've seen her photo a few times here, and you know, I think it's an engaging photo. She has a smile on there. It's at the very top, Amber, top left.
Oh,
Just
okay.
click into it. There you go.
Oh, right here.
Yeah.
I'm looking for darker hair. I'm so sorry.
So there's the benefit statement straight away, right?
So the benefit
Yes.
statement, leading a global discussion about transformation to our tech-driven future, helping business make technology better for humans, author of Tech Humanist early. Okay. So, I mean, I think that's pretty solid. It definitely says what you do, and what you're helping businesses do. If you could find another word for helping, I don't totally love help for some reason, but that's one thing. And then I think if you could make it just a little bit more benefit driven, and maybe the author of Tech Humanist, maybe not in your audience benefit statement, but you know, that's pretty close. That's a well done. Her topics, technology, I mean, she's all of her topics are related to each other, if you notice that, which is awesome. Now, sometimes that's not the case. You could speak on agriculture and also leadership, right? Maybe it's leadership in agriculture or whatever. So, but that's a really good setup, because you can tell she's really niche, she's focused in. And so that's great. Let's look at her videos really quick, Amber.
She has her virtual presentation. She has the
Okay.
certification.
Okay. Yep. Certification. She's got her marketing materials there, a bunch of different videos up. One thing I like of what Kate's done is she put her name in front of the video description, and then put the description on there. I think that's good. She's got her photos on there and documents, and so she's done a good job there. Look at her reviews. Okay, so we have this thing in our system called verified reviews. And what Kate has done here is she put the review in, and then she put the email address of the client in there, and our system emailed the client and said, hey, Kate said you said this about her. Did you? And if you did, just hit reply to the email. It's so super easy, but it's kind of a low level verification. It kind of gives the buyers a sense of, hey, they just didn't type this in themselves or use Chat GPT to do it, right? They have it verified. And so anyway, you can see that she has a bunch of verifieds in there, and having more verified does give you a higher SEO score, which is great. But you can put all your testimonials in there. And one easy way to do that, if you don't have them, is you can use the ones off of LinkedIn, for example.
Yeah.
And you can reach out to Amber, and our team will actually go through and pull those off for you and verify it, or you can pull them off and put them in, and we'll verify them, right? And we'll manually verify them because we can see them on LinkedIn already. So
brilliant. That's really helpful, and I love I love the way this works out. And if what I'm remembering you said earlier as well, in the about section, that first paragraph should try to link those benefits into what comes in the rest of them.
Right.
So this benefit, and then continue to tell your benefit in this first paragraph.
Gotcha. And then you go into.
So, I mean, I can just tell from just kind of looking over that Kate needs to do just a little bit more work, and maybe put another paragraph above that would link the two together, right? So maybe Kate, just work on honing in your audience benefit statement just a little bit better to really talk about the benefits they're going to get when they hear you speak. And then that first paragraph in your bio would be kind of that transition. It's like, hey, Kate's not only will help you do this or whatever, but also, and I just said help again, but trying to get that out of my vocabulary.
Empower or enable, one of those.
Yeah, exactly.
Or provides the skills too.
Sure.
Yeah. So it can be a short one, and then the rest of it looks great. Let's go to her programs. Oh yeah. So, and your programs can use some work too. We're kind of beating you up, Kate. We pumped you up last week by showcasing you, and then now I feel bad. So, but hey, this is what it's all about, right? And so, and good thing that Kate's awesome and is taking like a champ and says, hey, I'm going to work on this, but we can definitely help you. But Amber, in one of your other marketplace windows, bring up Crystal. and see. Let's just see if by chance, I haven't looked at hers recently, but
Crystal Washington.
yeah,
Okay, just
let's just see if she's got her
one second.
programs outlined.
I'll get it going.
I mean, with even with Kate's example, I'm sure with Crystal, there's so much she's doing right. So there's so many great examples.
Yeah,
If you took, you know, if I took me on the thing, it would be, you know, there'd be too much time needed to tell me about all the things I need to work on. So for me, seeing someone who's like 80% there is very helpful for me.
Yeah.
So this is wonderful.
The thing about it is most speakers, again, talking about being specific with it, most speakers will take what they have on their one sheet or their website and just cut and paste it over to their eSpeakers profile. And so, and that's what I speak on. And if you kind of go into, like here's Crystal's, and I still think that she could do a little bit of work on this. Yeah. But, you know, she's at least identified some sessions. In this session, you will accomplish. These are the things you'll get from it.
She needs the target audience, and also, you know, what is the time frame of this, you know, a 45-minute keynote or a 2-hour breakout session.
Amber, maybe just type in Elizabeth McCormick really quick. I think she has that pretty well.
Okay.
Dan, just to give you an idea of kind of how it looks, just so you have an idea. Elizabeth probably has one of the best overall profiles.
I don't know why my search is, I'll find it. Go ahead and keep talking.
Okay. She has one of the most best overall profiles, because she is kind of the liaison to a group that is kind of an emerging speaker group. It's the John Maxwell team. And so she does a lot of work with them and trying to train them on how to become speakers and come from coaching into speaking. And so she has a lot of experience in doing that. But if you go down to her programs, you'll notice that
I don't think her programs are, this one's okay right here.
There we go. So it's kind of the idea is that when you go to the program, this is a wizard that you get the wizard format. The format's 1 hour and to 90 minutes. Here's the, you know, are you ready to fly is the description of it, the key takeaways, the key lessons, you know. So as a buyer, you're looking at this and saying, I need somebody. And if you look at that, the key takeaways, unlock the key to tapping into your innovation and leading your industry. And maybe that's the outcome of the event. And the buyer's like, wahoo, I found my person. Yeah. Let's get her booked. And so the more specific you can be with those types of things, and this is all stuff that you can take over and put onto your website. You should put on your website, because it's more clear.
I just see the virtual program again there. So very quickly, and then I'm going to open up the questions. Could you just tell us what the eSpeakers virtual certification is?
Good question. So it's,
go ahead, Amber.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It's basically a tech check, kind of just what we would share screens, and we would see if you have a great background, good audio, and things like that. And then you have the opportunity to tell us some optional items, whether you have like a podcast mic, a camera switcher. We're testing your internet to see what your bandwidth is and your network latency. So it's just assuring that meeting organizer that you are prepared to speak virtually. And we kind of did the certified, you know, virtual presenter in response to COVID, because the meeting industry completely changed, as you all know that. And so that is the certification that you're able to get, and I'll put the link in that. And this is the little blue certification right here. So I'll put that in the chat real quick. Do you have anything else to say about that, Joe?
No. Well, the only thing is that if you're a plus or a pro member of eSpeakers, that's free. If you're a basic member, it's $89 or $85. Sorry.
Okay. Great.
So, and the cool thing about it is if you look at Kate's photo right now, I don't know if you guys can all see her, or any of us that are on here, like as a buyer, what they want to see is they want to see Kate's got a microphone there. She's got a headset. She's got lighting. If I heard her speak, I'm sure it would be great because she has a good mic. She has internet. Like they just want to see that you're not going to be an embarrassment of putting you in front of their leadership group. And we're a little bit past that now. Like in the beginning, people just had no clue, and you're just kind of putting it all together on your laptop, you know, camera or whatever. But we're past that a little bit, but we're finding that it's still super valuable, that people rely on it. We're a third party that's verifying it. And so, you know, it does it's still just as popular now as it was.
No, that's great. That's great. I just want to open it up to anyone who's any questions. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the gallery so I can see. So if anyone's any questions, if you want to put up your hand or use an emoji hand as well is also an alternative. And yeah, we can get Amber and Joe to answer. So anyone got any questions that they want to check in with Amber and Joe? Ralph?
I just want to first thank you all for coming on and doing this, because I've been part of NSA for 10 years, and I don't even think I filled out my eSpeaker file. Like, I never really even went in there and looked at it, and just sitting here and looking at the way it works, I'm so eager to get started. I think it's such a great program. So first and foremost, thank you so much for doing this. And then the one part that you might have already answered, but just from an ROI point of view, do you know how many people are getting booked from eSpeakers? Like, what is Kate, you're on there. What's your rate? Like, what's the ROI on this? I mean, how many people are going to eSpeakers? How many meeting planners are using eSpeakers? Do we have any idea?
I would say that personally, I have always felt like asking about bookings through eSpeakers is the wrong question, because the eSpeakers value is so much more that underlying system that anything that comes in that maybe, someone found me on eSpeakers or booked me through eSpeakers is just gravy. So that I've told that to everybody since I've been using the system, that everybody's always asking for how many bookings come in that way. It's so much more important that the system helps you organize all of these materials. And as Joe and Amber just amply demonstrated, I have a long way to go, but it still helps. And, the bureaus that I work with, they're always asking for these same pieces of information. And it's super handy to be able to direct them to my eSpeakers profile. And it's a great starting point for us to be able to take and copy or, make unique for each bureau, whatever we're going to do. But it's just a really, really good starting point for how to frame your profile online. Does that help?
It does help. I really appreciate that, because I got to tell you, as I'm watching this whole thing, the one thing I'm the most excited about starting to do is have all my stuff in one place. Like, as you can just imagine, somebody says, "Hey, we'd love it," and I'm like, "Yeah, I have 8 places where 4 things are." We're trying to find it. And the other thing is, I know that North Carolina, maybe there's other chapters, but I know that North Carolina uses eSpeaker profiles as their profile for all of their members on their North Carolina NSA
Right.
site, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, because we here at New York City, we have our own separate
Directory.
what is it called?
Yeah,
Directory.
Ralph,
Directory.
Ralph, that's one of the things I was just chatting to Amber beforehand, is you might want to have a conversation with Joe and Amber about the New York City chapter, just to see if we are interested in, doing something with that. So again, it's something that, we were chatting about. So it's just something to think about.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because it makes far more sense to have an eSpeakers profile where you can actually upload and keep all your documents, as opposed to just a profile.
Well, and then other people don't have to update it. If you have somebody in your current website, somebody has to update that, or if you guys have to log in, it's another place you have to log in. And this is,
which is
it
a nightmare.
updates your chapter website, the national website, eSpeakers website, all the bureau websites, the industry sites.
Mhm.
I loved what Kate said, and wish that I had the ability to give her a big hug right now, because I can't tell you how just the perception sometimes of what eSpeakers can provide is overlooked by new jobs. And we were in business only about 5 years ago. We really focused on bringing new leads to it. It was kind of an extra thing. It's like, hey, we can also do this. This is another little add-on. And then all of a sudden everybody thinks, oh, that's the only thing we do. And all these other tools and the other things that people have been using for 23 years, get overlooked because of that. So I appreciate that. And the value is really in using the system. And of course, we want to provide leads for you. And we're coming in on like just over 100 jobs a month, I think is what it, a couple hundred jobs that come in per month. And so, that's got to get distributed out through all, and some people get hired multiple times. So, but as far as the leads that come in, those are actual jobs, but we do have a lead board where we provide you shortcuts to potential leads, right? So if you go into your eSpeakers profile, if you have a Plus or a Pro account and you go to the lead center, you can go to the lead board, or you can go to the geo-targeted leads. And so the geo-targeted leads are leads that if Kate was speaking in Chicago, she could go to the geo-targeted leads and say, I'm going to bring up all the leads that are in that area, and I'm just going to do some work while I'm there, right? I'm going to talk to speakers bureaus. I'm going to set up some interviews with some of the press. I'm going to go in and see if I can get a new job somewhere, be on a interviewed on AI some way or whatever. It's a way, just a shortcut. So you don't have to go search the internet. We have lists of all the meeting planners, convention and visitors bureaus, chambers of commerce, media. And so you can go in there. It's just kind of a short list of ways, a shortcut to go get that. The other thing, the lead board is we've put a whole bunch of leads together that are potential leads where they're hiring some speaker. And so it gives you a shortcut to be able to search that instead of go search Google, right? Because now you don't have to search all the other stuff that are, go to page. It's just all right there. And so you can go find if it's a good fit for you. You click the link, it takes you to the event website. And then from there, you can decide, oh, this is a good fit for me. I'll do a call for speaker. I'll send them an email. So it's more of an outreach thing on your part. So we have inbound leads and we have outbound, things that you need to do yourself, right?
Super.
So I
Thanks very
don't know if that answers your question, Ralph, or.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I hope that you have the opportunity to make this pitch to all chapters. And if there's anything I can do to help you with that, let me know. Because
Okay. Thank
I
you.
can't believe I didn't know all this, after all this time. So
That's great. Thanks very much for the question, Ralph. I echo it. I think I've learned a massive amount today. Is there any other questions before I do a quick wrap up and summary of everything we did? Okay, so just to really quickly, again, we covered so much, so I'm going to hope to do its service to the best of my ability. We started off, we talked with Amber and Joe about eSpeakers. What is it and what's it all about and where did it come from? Created in 1999 by Art Berg, who partnered up with David Reed, and then Joe brought along Joe. It initially started out as a system to better organize. So at the time, Art was doing some very sort of innovative work in terms of when people were interested, he was able to give them the back end into his calendar to check out to see if he was available, which was very, very new and unique at the time. And it soon progressed to be initially an event manager tool. It provided a survey of different marketing tools to allow us to outreach better. And now it's also become a directory. And in fact, it powers directories across the national speaker space. It also helps us to be able to do things like prepare, if we know about it in advance, prepare the CSP, which is a huge undertaking. And then primarily over the last few years, it's been particularly focused on digital marketing and be able to provide the tools that we need in order to leverage our own reputations and personal brand out there into the space, from social media right the way across to the directory of the National Speakers Association. In terms of how we use it, it provides us with a lot of online exposure. Once we've subscribed to it, it allows us to be able to access things, especially at the plus and pro level, things like the lead center. It allows us to be able to market people effectively. Crystal Washington, as we mentioned earlier on, uses it pretty much as her entire system. She has her entire system. And Kate also mentioned that she does something similar as well, where she's that action list that was talked about a little later. In terms of some of the tips overall that we can learn from eSpeakers and we can apply to marketing ourselves in general online, some great advice from Amber and Joe about, first of all, the obvious one about, a photo, making sure that you have a nice photo of your shoulders up, clear, nice. We talked last month about, with John D'Amato in the masterclass, the phenomenal photographer, about how we can get top quality photographs. So check that out, everyone, for any information on that. The importance of an audience benefit statement. The first thing you see in eSpeakers under a person's name is that audience benefit statement. How do you benefit the audience? Not who are you? Why are you so amazing? Why are you so great? What's your qualification? Audience benefit statements. What is it that you can do? In terms of the program, it's what to expect in this program. What kind of, again, you start off giving them very clear takeaways in each program. And video is important. If you can upload a video, obviously on the plus or pro levels. If you are a certified virtual speaker, you can upload it even with a basic profile. You can upload an example of virtual video. You can also put in, again, plus or pro, testimonials or recommendations. And in order of what's most useful or what's been seen to be most useful, number one is been seeing the video. Number two is the testimonials and reviews. And then the different programs that you have. A phenomenal part of it is that you can actually do different profiles for different programs. So you can have, let's say, for example, if you've got leadership with emotional intelligence and you've got another one, leadership with productivity, you can have two different types of profiles that have a different audience benefit statement at the beginning with different examples that are connected to that. So if someone searches leadership productivity, they'll come to your leadership productivity profile. If they search leadership with emotional intelligence, they'll come to your leadership emotional intelligence profile, which I think is really, really great. And you can also have a general profile as well if they just search your name. And you can also have it in different languages. So someone does, I'm not even going to try to speak any other language, but if someone says it in Spanish, for example, leadership, then they would get your Spanish version of that. Some other things as well, some messaging mistakes that are made in general, marketing wise, are the core one that was mentioned, which is features versus benefits. And as speakers, we tend to focus on, this is what I've done, 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 as opposed to what are the benefits that they will get. As Casey mentioned, it's to pass the so what test. So again, it's leaning into what are the benefits to the audience. It's not just about you being an expert. And in fact, the structure of a good e-speaker's profile is the benefit statement. And then the first paragraph of your bio should connect the benefit statement to your bio, which is pretty much, this is why I'm the person to speak about this topic. This is why I'm the expert. And that allows you to stand out in the marketplace in this way. And there's sort of a template, if you will, for the programs even that they recommend you follow in terms of positioning yourself effectively for that. In terms of choosing e-speakers, what's included in the basic is the basic information in your virtual program, the fee, programs that you do, as well as calendar updates, and also your calendar in the future. Obviously not all the facilities, but the basic calendar is there. If you upgrade to a plus, you also have recommendations, photos, and video. You have the profile photo for all of the accounts, but more photos and more videos and PDFs and all that if you upgrade to plus. And if you do pro, you also have the updated calendar. And in the calendar, we have things like, incorporating things like TripIt, but and lots of other features that they go much deeper into that you have some access to, but with Pro you get a lot more the ability to be able to link it in with a lot more different things, particularly the action lists. And if there's one of the two underutilized parts of eSpeakers, it's action lists. Again, that's what Crystal talks about. That's what Kate talks about. And it really is the ability to be able to, let's say you've got a event on the 1st of May. Well, you can get a reminder and organize all of these tasks that 30 days before the event, you get reminded to send them out the materials. 20 days before the event, you get to double check the hotel. 10 days before the event, you get to do this. And it allows you so that you get an email to remind you of all the different steps along the way. So if you've got a VA, for example, virtual assistant, you can organize it so that everything is taken care of. No stone is left unturned. Even as Kate mentioned, you also are able to remember on the day, I need to reach out to this person and let them know that I'm here, which again, event organizers, as she mentioned, loves. So incredible opportunity there. The other thing that was mentioned is the availability calendar, where once you've your calendar organized, it will mark you as available with the Pro plan, so that if people search in a certain date and they search at a certain place, you're one of the people that it says available. And as Joe mentioned, it gives you less of a process to book a speaker. So it makes it easier for people, less friction involved in booking a speaker. We also saw Amber talked us through the fact that she brings people on board and she's the expert on that. And she's going to help you to set your profile up in the most optimal way, which is terrific. And now you know her well. So thanks so much, Amber. And also we saw the support page, which is full of comprehensive videos to help you to do everything that you need to do as well. Lastly, we talked about integrating it with CRMs. eSpeakers integrates with a number of different types of CRMs, but it's a very deep integration with SpeakerFlow. So once again, it's kind of a very easy two-way relationship between SpeakerFlow and eSpeakers, and they work beautifully together. And then we looked at examples like Kate, who had a phenomenal profile, but was given some, feedback about increasing the focus on benefits. But again, a great little trick was to do with the reviews, where you have a facility whereby eSpeakers can reach out to some of the clients that you've created a testimonial for with their permission, and then the client can just confirm with just a reply, which means then you can have sort of even more credibility to those testimonials that you have. And you can also incorporate them in from LinkedIn as well, which is very, very useful. We also looked at Crystal Washington again, and all the great things she was doing on her profile, as well as Elizabeth McCormick from the John Maxwell team. And lastly, we talked about certified eSpeakers virtual presenting. So certified virtual presentation is really about a tech check, making sure that you do everything. For basic profile, it's $89. And for anyone who's on the paid plans, it's included and it's free to organize that as well. And then Ralph asked a question about the benefits. Well, he talked about how amazing it was, the benefits, and how excited he is to be able to fill in his profile, and asked about ROI. And as Kate mentioned, which I think was a very, very good point. It's not necessarily about just immediately, it's like a website. You get booking, a website doesn't produce bookings. LinkedIn doesn't produce bookings. And eSpeakers might not produce lots of bookings, but they're necessary because when people are thinking about hiring you, they might find you in any one of those, but they're going to be looking at everything else. And it's the combination of those factors that often influence people to make the decision. And certainly having a profile on eSpeakers, especially given that there's a lot of things we can do for free, and so many other things we can do for the paid or plus the plus or pro plans, provides us with an opportunity to reach out to more, again, with things on the paid plan like the lead boards, which allow us to be able to reach out for some lead gen. So I think I've covered most of what we talked about. I want to say a big thank you, Joe, to you, and a big thank you, Amber, to you. Really got a lot out of this presentation, and found myself learning a lot. Now it's just about going back and improving my, at the moment, terrible eSpeakers profile and really updating it significantly. And I'm sure I'm not the only person on this call. So thank you so much for taking the time out to do this. Can I take a quick photograph? If that's okay, I'll do a quick screen grab.
Yeah.
Right. If everyone can smile, their brightest smile. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. It's been a pleasure.
I have
Yes.
one more.
Sure,
one more
Ralph,
quick
go
question
ahead,
for Amber.
Mr.
You just
President.
sent that. I apologize. Thank you. You just sent that link for the 90 days
Yes.
for $10 a month for a 90-day trial. Can you, after the 90 days, can you upgrade for the annual payment?
You can. If you
Okay.
give me a call, you can do that. Mhm.
Okay, so I'll give you a call then. Great.
Yeah, or
'Cause
email me. You have my email.
I have your email. I have your information.
Good.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you guys really so much for this. It was really, really wonderful. Thank you, Owen.
Thanks a lot. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you,
Cheers.
Owen.
Thanks,
Hey,
Joe.
thank
Thanks,
you.
Amber.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, we'll see you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Amber
Bye-bye.
and Joe.